Good evening, everyone, virtual listeners and my live participants. This is week 3, Thursday, January 28th, 2021. I know that all my live participants logged in early as I recommended. So hopefully you've been able to go through everything on this slide to get your technology ready to engage with the course. If you have any issues, of course, contact our IT department. So next, since this is a live webinar for our live participants, we are going to be using some tools to engage in the webinar. So we will be using our chat function, we will be doing a poll, we'll have fun with some whiteboard activities, as well as sending emojis to each other. So it should be some good times. So the next thing that we want to do is get our learning environment ready to engage and focus. So you want to go ahead and silence and turn off your cell phone. Get yourself in a position, like if you can shut your door, go ahead and do that, and then put up a do not disturb sign so other people in your household know that you are in a class. And of course, we know that most of you, if not all, are going to be logging in from home. So we are going to accept if we hear any pitter-patter of furry friends, small children, spouses, friends, family. We will go ahead and embrace it and go with the flow. So the next thing that we want to do, we got our technology ready, we have our space ready, now we need to get our mind ready. So go ahead, take a deep breath in. As you release, forget about any thoughts or worries or distractions that may be bogging you down. So we'll go ahead and do that again so I can do it. Take a deep breath in. And breathe out. Excellent. So next I'm going to do a quality check to make sure that everything's good and that we're live and recording for our virtual participants. So I can see my red record indicator is lit up, so we are good to go with that. And then you should see the words a quality check at the top of your screen and hear me adequately. If you can, go ahead and raise your hand. Excellent. And so for my virtual listeners, you will be engaging in the Google Classrooms. So I'm going to go ahead and post that link now. And for our live participants, if you want to also engage in the Google Classroom after this webinar, it is there for you. So hopefully you can see that. Again, welcome to week 3. Today we will be continuing with our textbook, Thinking Collaboratively, Learning in a Community of Inquiry, written by D. Randy Garrison. Today's lecture will focus on Chapter 4, focusing on a new era of online education. So for our learning objectives, by the end of this webinar, you should be able to describe how distance learning has changed over time. You will be able to explain the criticisms and benefits of online technology, and you will be able to establish ways to integrate online technology to increase student collaboration in your discipline. So let's go ahead and get started by looking at this statement. So even in 2021, many people still believe that online technology cannot compare to traditional learning environments. Go ahead and go down to your chat emoji and send me an emoji with what you think of that. Exactly. I would say I concur with those emojis. So let's see. Next, I want to hear from you with a poll. So do you think that online technology can produce similar outcomes compared to face-to-face learning? So that is the poll question. I'm going to go ahead and get the poll set up for you. So give me 1 second here. All right, you should see your poll pop up on the bottom of the screen, so go ahead and submit your responses. Virtual listeners, again, you will be able to answer this question in the Google chat room. So because our virtual listeners cannot see this poll, everyone in the class did agree that the general consensus was yes, online technology can produce similar outcomes to face-to-face learning. So go ahead and close out your poll. You can do that by hitting the X on your poll. I'm just navigating back to our slides. Okay, excellent. So let's talk about technology in education. So digital technology impacts the way we learn and communicate in the classroom because it takes away the limitation of space and time. So for example, here you see several pictures of people engaging in technology in a variety of settings. So what I want you to go ahead and do is go up to your whiteboard, go ahead and grab the pointer icon. It should look like this. You should see it on my screen. Point to your favorite place to, engage in online technology. Okay, it looks like some people have like their study space in their room. Anyone else? Yes, excellent. Maybe like a reading nook. I know for me personally, like when I have the time, I like to be outside when the weather's nice. I know especially now since it's cold, I can't wait till I can go out and sit in a hammock or sit on my patio. So thank you. So another benefit of digital technology is it allows students the ability to control the pace of their learning with it to a certain point. So for example, if, tonight you're sitting in this lecture and you're like, oh, I have a headache, I'm not quite grasping everything. Well, the good thing is this is recorded, so later on you can come back, engage in the technology, pause it, reflect, really think about things instead of just having everything thrown at you once. So that's a major benefit of digital technology. So the next thing that we're going to look at is the history of distance learning. So many people equate distance learning to online education. And yes, online education can encompass distance learning, but learning at a distance doesn't necessarily have an online component. So let's have some fun here with a timeline. I put some dates at the bottom. Some of the dates are actual dates in distance learning. Some are not. Some are fictitious. So what I want you to do is grab the pencil or shape tools up at the top of your screen and go ahead and circle the date where you think distance learning started. All right, so we see 1992, 1895. That looks like a second 1895. So you will be surprised to know that distance learning actually first was recorded, first record of it was as early as 1728. Yes, you heard that right, 1728. That was by Caleb Phillips, posted an ad in the Boston Gazette promising correspondence education on shorthand. So we can see as technology progressed, yes, then, lectures may have been broadcasted over the radio, then on the TV. There may have been videotapes sent out, as well as now we know a lot of distance learning is primarily done online. So now some of the concerns about distance education, online learning, is the lack of engagement. However, one can argue that student engagement is also a concern in traditional learning environments. So if you think of your large lecture hall, ultimately there's not usually, opportunities to really engage with the participants and engage with the professor. Often it's just the professor kind of disseminating that information to the class, and that's about it. The solution to try to get people to engage more in the class and think collaboratively is a method called blended learning. So blended learning, we can see, incorporates your traditional classroom lecture, as well as the opportunities to integrate other technologies. They may be using Flipgrid, Microsoft Teams, Google Classrooms, and then they may circle back and provide more lectures. So it allows constant opportunity to engage in the material in different ways, and it keeps things interesting. So now we're going to talk about ways that you can start thinking about implementing technology and blended learning within your discipline. So one important thing is, as you start using technology with your students, is don't assume, if you have young students and they've grown up with social media, that they will embrace educational technology. Many students often don't see the benefits of educational technology because they've already been distracted by social media. So just for fun, I'm just kind of curious, go ahead and pull out those pointers and point to the social media that you find the most distracting for yourself. So I see some Facebook, Twitter. So it looks like Facebook and Twitter are the big ones. All right, thank you guys. So the important thing is, as you integrate technology within your classroom or discipline, you want to make sure that you keep the students engaged by keeping the technology as simple as possible. So more complex does not mean better. That will often turn off your students. The other thing that you want to do is encourage student interaction. So you want to provide safe spaces for students to collaborate on ideas and ask questions. That's kind of a tongue twister right there. And you want to model expectations of online student communication. So your students, even though they grew up in social media, may not know the acceptable ways to communicate in online. So for example, if you're expecting them to use like APA format, you may want to model that in an initial post so students can see that. All right, so let's go ahead and do something a little bit different here. We are going to play a game. So in this game, I have put up 6 criticisms of digital technology. So the goal after this webinar is that you are able to implement digital technology within your field. However, we know whenever a person comes with, a big idea, there is often many people that have criticisms. So in order for your implementation of technology to work for you, it can be helpful to have, ideas of how you are going to provide a rebuttal against those criticisms. So let me go ahead and share my screen here so you can see that wheel. Give me 1 second. I'm going to put it in full screen mode, select share. All right, and it's going to take a second to load. Oh, funky. It's flashing. I don't know why it's doing that, but let's try to spin the wheel, see if it stops. All right, that stops it. Good. Whew. All right, so our criticism from your peers may be that online technology provides a limited interaction between students. So what I want someone to do is go ahead and take the mic, raise your hand, take the mic, explain why you think that is not true. All right, Sharon, go ahead, take that mic.
Well, I think if the class is set up with a sense of purpose where the instructor wants the students to engage, they can use the chat box, they can use, discussion posts, but I think the preparation time is really on the instructor.
Absolutely. I would agree with that. Anyone else have any ideas? Okay, let's go ahead and give Sharon an emoji for that.
We've lost our screen.
Yes. Can you see it now?
Yes, yes.
All right. Thank you, Sharon. Thank you. So, distance learning has impacted online education. We've learned about that. It's had quite a history. So education has entered a new era of learning where material is delivered in multiple formats known as blended learning. So finally, of course, if you have any questions, I will stay after on this webinar. For our virtual listeners, you can ask your questions in our Google Classroom, as well as online learners. I would love if you engage in our Google Classroom as well, since this is a course about collaboration. Thank you all for participating. I hope you have a great day or evening. If you would like to learn more about this material, take a deeper dive, you can take a look at these references provided here. Otherwise, thank you. Bye.